Hello guys, it's Omz back. I haven't uploaded in so long, as you guys may know. It's been like a year since I had last created my last video, and it honestly has been a few months since I actually wrote a What If Dragon Ball video. But that doesn't mean I stopped writing in general, because I have different forms of writing now, different stories, different creations, different characters of my own personal creations. Like the story that we're doing today about Azo Uzumaki.
I don't think I have a name for the particular story just yet. I may just allow somebody in the comments, create it for me, or we can just create it together as time go on. I was thinking something of like the Crimson Hope, the last era of the Uzumaki, the last true era, something in that sense. But yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna completely stop uploading the What If Dragon Ball videos. I'm just gonna take a break because things like this, my personal creation, is like only to me. I'm the one who came up with it. So I just want you guys to hear it and see the vision that I'm trying to see while writing this.
Hope you guys enjoy it. Without further notice, let's dive right into the story.
The river flowed quietly under the soft light of dawn, its steady rhythm filling the Uzumaki household with a sense of peace. Nested far from the busy town of Wave Country, the small home of Kenzo and Mina Uzumaki stood like a sanctuary where laughter and warmth drowned out the distant troubles of the shinobi world. On the grass near the riverbank, a child laughter broke the silence. Little Azo Uzumaki, barely a year old, sat in the grass clapping his hands as his father tossed the apple into the air. "Catch it if you can, Azo," Kenzo teased. Azo's tiny arms stretched upward, grasping at the apple as it began its ascent. His fingers missed the apple just by inches, yet something stirred deep within him. A sharp crack split the air. In an instant, a glowing crimson chain erupted from Azo's small hand. It streaked forward with lightning speed. Kenzo's eyes would have widened. His shinobi instinct screamed danger. He ducked, feeling the chain whistle past his neck with terrifying precision. The apple was struck. Instead of falling uselessly into the dirt, Kenzo froze, stunned. He looked down at his son, who had only giggled in delight. The glowing ruby chain still curled around his arm. Kenzo didn't know what to think. He could only say that this was impossible. Neither him nor Mina possessed the fabled Uzumaki chains. That power belonged only in distant bloodlines, not to them. Yet here it was, alive and pulsing through their child, and not in the golden or silver hues of legend, but a fierce gleaming crimson. As Mina was walking outside, she dropped everything that was in her hands. She saw the whole scene and she couldn't believe what she saw. Mina froze in place, and she just stared. "Kenzo, look at the color." Kenzo's jaw clenched, scooping Azo into his arms. The crimson. And it's like they just tore themselves out of him.Mina's eyes softened as she gazed at Azo laughing. He doesn't even realize what he's done. Kenzo stared at his son with a mix of awe and dread. My boy is no ordinary Uzumaki. He'll definitely grow into a force that this world has never seen before. But will it destroy him before he can even control it? Azo's eyes bright, reflecting the glow of his chains as he giggled while reaching for his mother's hair, unaware of the shadow his power cast over his future, while he still remained blissfully innocent. That night, under the soft flicker of candlelight, Kenzo held Azo close, his expression grave. "You're special, my son, and the world will one day fear the name Uzumaki Azo." By the time Azo turned 3, his development had already surpassed the expectations of ordinary children. Kenzo would have wasted no time just by seeing the potential of his son. Though his wife often argued against it, he began training Azo in the basics of a shinobi's life. Kunai and shuriken came first. Kenzo set up wooden posts by the river and stood behind his son as the boy hurled the weapons with tiny, clumsy hands. His throws were a little off, yet his determination never wavered. One afternoon, though, Azo's kunai struck just shy of the bullseye. He turned to his father, face glowing with pride. "Did you see that, Dad?" Kenzo allowed the faintest smile. "Good. Do it again." Day after day, Azo's skills sharpened. He learned to swing a wooden sword, to read simple ceiling patterns, and most importantly, to summon his crimson chains at will. Each time they tore from his back or palms, they lashed out violently, as if they're alive and eager to strike. Kenzo watched his son summon 3 chains at once, each one piercing through the targets with frightening accuracy. Too fast, too strong. Even at this age, he's already beyond most children. But if he loses control, I don't know. Later that night, as Mina bandaged Azo's small hands, she glared at her husband. He's only 3. You're pushing him too hard, Kenzo. Kenzo looked down at his son, whose eyes gleamed faintly red, even in the candlelight. No, he said firmly. He isn't just a child. He carries something greater than both of us. If we don't prepare him now, his power will consume him and everyone else around him, and that includes us or any friends that he make in the future. Mina's lips trembled, but she pulled Azo closer to her chest, kissing the boy's forehead. Then let me remind you, Kenzo, no matter what power he has, he's still our son. Azo yawned, curling into his mother's embrace, obviously to the weight of their words. His crimson chains pulsed faintly in his sleep, like a heartbeat of power that would shape his destiny. But sadly, there's no destiny inside the world of Shinobi that hadn't been forged by flames. As time went on, the evenings by the river were Azo's favorite. Even after days of long training, his father's stern lessons gave way to laughter, music, and warmth. Mina would have been cooking by the fire, humming softly as fresh rice and roasted fish filled the air. Azo would have sat cross-legged, his crimson chains dancing harmlessly in the grass as he played with them like toys. They wrapped around twigs, swirled in the water, and even braided themselves together as if they understood his thoughts. Kenzo watched, arms folded, his expression unreadable. He's playing with weapons, he muttered. Mina turned her gaze towards him, her tone sharp but affectionate. No, Kenzo. He's just being a child. Let him live what he can. Kenzo grunted, but said nothing no more. Later that night, though, Mina sat by Azo's bed, brushing his hair back as the chains gently retracted back into his body. She whispered to him softly, almost as if she feared the world might hear. You are loved, Azo. Never forget that. No matter how frightening your gift may become, you're not alone. Her words sank deep into Azo's heart. He didn't fully understand them then, but he remembered the warmth of her voice and the certainty of her smile. Like any other day, Kenzo had set up training dummies near the river. Azo now, 3.5, stood ready, his chains pulsing faintly as they coiled behind him. Focus, Kenzo instructed. Do not let them control you. You control them. Azo nodded, determination burning in his young eyes. He thrusted his hands forward and the chain shot out, striking the target dead center. Another strike followed and another, until suddenly the chains exploded outward in every direction. Trees were splintered, rocks shattered. One chain even lashed out dangerously close to Mina, who had been watching from the porch. Mina, Kenzo shouted. Azo's eyes widened in horror. His chains lashed wildly like serpents, glowing brighter and brighter until the boy screamed, clutching his head. I can't stop! I can't stop it! Mina ran forward, ignoring Kenzo's warning. She wrapped her arms around Azo, her voice steady, despite the chains whipping around her and slashing her back. Shh, Azo. It's alright. I'm here. You're safe. Slowly the chains retracted, dissolving back into his small body. Tears began to stream down his face. I hurt you. I didn't mean to. Mina kissed his forehead, smiling gently. It's okay, Azo.
Remember what I told you the night before. Don't ever forget it. Kenzo stood silently, his fist clenched. He knew his wife's words soothed Azo, but deep down inside, he felt the weight of the truth pressing down on him. If Azo lost control again, next time, it wouldn't just be trees that were destroyed. The next day, the grass was still damp when Kenzo lowered himself beside his son. Azo lay sprawled out after another grueling day of training, his chest rising and falling in heavy breaths. Kenzo just stared at Azo for a moment, and he finally broke the silence. In this world, Azo, strength is survival. Every shinobi who has ever lived to old age lived because they were powerful enough to outlast their enemies. Azo stared at the grass and taking everything that Kenzo had said. Father, if this is true, then why don't we live with our clan? Where are they? Kenzo's eyes shut. His voice trembled just slightly. They're gone, Azo. All of them are dead. Azo flinched back for a second, and he turned to his father. So what are you talking about? You just said that the strong live to outlast their enemies because of their strength. So why are our people dead? What do you mean? Expression still calm, Kenzo continued. And they were strong. But sometimes things happen out of our control. The nations feared us so much because of our power and our bloodline. They joined hands as enemies often do and struck us down together. The Uzumaki clan was nearly erased. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the flow of the river. Azo clenched his tiny fist. Didn't we have allies? Someone who would stand by us? Kenzo gave a bitter laugh, eyes narrowing towards the horizon. The land of fire, Konoha. They called themselves our friends. But by the time they arrived, our people had already been slaughtered. They offered refuge to the survivors, but trust? His jaw tightened. Trust is harder to give. The boy's lips quivered. So, the whole world feared us? Kenzo opened his eyes and nodded. Their fear outweighed their respect. Azo reached forward, gripping his father's arm with trembling hands. His crimson eyes glinted like coals in the dim light. Then I'll become the mightiest of them all. I'll be strong enough that no enemy can kill me, no matter how many unite against me. I'll make the whole world respect the Uzumaki name again. Kenzo blinked, stunned by the fire in his son's eyes and voice. Then slowly a proud smile crept across his face. He ruffled Azo's bright red hair. Very well, my son. But strength doesn't come from words. You'll master every tool, every weapon, every jutsu at your disposal. You'll complete the training I give you, and only then will you be worthy of such a dream. Azo leaped to his feet, puffing out his chest. You got it, Dad. I'll learn everything that you teach me. Kenzo chuckled, but then his eyes narrowed as he watched Azo's nose twitch faintly, his head turning towards the house. What is it? Azo grinned. Mom's coming. She made our favorite food. I can smell it. He bolted off, sprinting across the riverbank with childish energy. Kenzo sat frozen for a moment, watching as his son vanished into the distance. Already? A sensor? And sharper than me. Moments later, Mina smiled as Azo burst through the door, her arms full with bowls. You always know when dinner's ready, she teased. Kenzo flickered into the kitchen in a flash of speed, appearing just behind his son. Azo's jaw dropped. Dad, that jutsu. You gotta teach me. Kenzo smirked. When you're older, Azo. Master your chains first, then the rest will follow. On the eve of Azo's 4th birthday, Kenzo traveled into town. He wanted to return with chakra paper and new clothes for his son. Simple gifts, but meaningful. Yet, as he crossed through the forest on his return, his instincts pricked. I'm being followed. His hand slid into his sword's hilt. The presence was faint, fleeting, but persistent. He stopped among the trees, scanning the shadows. Nothing. The sensation vanished as quickly as it appeared. But somehow above, hidden in the branches, cold green eyes studied him. Kenzo Uzumaki. The sensor strong enough to sense me. By dusk, Kenzo returned home, tension right in his shoulders. He said nothing to Mina, not wishing the burden of fear to be upon her. Yet outside, he kept vigil under the stars, his senses stretched to their limits. It was only where the sun dipped below the horizon that the hunter revealed himself. A low, gravelly voice slithered through the darkness. You finally noticed. I wondered how long it'd take you to catch me, or how long you would watch me. Kenzo rose to his feet, sword gleaming in his hands. You watched me long enough, and I know you have. So just step forward, you coward. Kakuzu emerged, mask glinting. Kenzo Uzumaki, you have a bounty on your head. This will be fairly easy if you just let me kill you and don't resist. Kenzo's jaw tightened. You'll never touch me or take me away from my family. And the forest erupted in violence. Steel clashed with hardened flesh. Kenzo's water bullets cracked against walls of earth. Clones slashed at Kakuzu from every side, their blades tearing through flesh, only for black cords to stitch Kakuzu back together. For every strike Kenzo landed, Kakuzu rose again, unrelenting. Inside the home, Mina clutched Azo close as the boy pressed against the window. Mom, please, let me see. Her lips trembled, but faith in Kenzo was unwavering. Slowly she released her son's grip, then watched closely. See how strong your father really is. Azo's eyes widened as his father moved like lightning, blades flashing, water clones crushing forward in waves. Wow, that is amazing. But then it shifted. Kenzo turned, distracted by his son's voice, just as Kakuzu's strike shattered his sword in half. Growing weary of this, Kakuzu muttered, tearing away his shirt. 4 masked hearts tore free from his body, each humming with elemental chakra. Kenzo's eyes widened. What are those? Your end, Uzumaki.
Kakuzu replied coldly.
The night began to burn with fire and streaked with wind as Kakuzu's hearts attacked. Flame roared towards the house, and Kenzo countered desperately, gale palms dispersing the inferno before it can consume his family. But Kakuzu was relentless, and Kenzo staggered under the weight of attack after attack. And then, Mina! Kenzo's world shattered as his wife threw herself between him and a strike of fire and lightning. The blast consumed her fragile body. No! Was all Kenzo could scream as he rushed towards her. She turned, skin black and blood pouring from her mouth. Take Azo and run. Her voice broke as her body collapsed lifelessly to the earth. It made no sense to Azo. One minute they were watching the fight, and the next his mom was dead. He didn't know how to believe it. He couldn't fathom what made her do that. It's as if she was possessed and just took the blow for him. And out of frustration and confusion, Azo just dropped to his knees and began to scream. And what followed was carnage. Kenzo got up and fought with everything that he had. Explosive tags, chakra-laced slashes, but yet blood still sprayed into the dirt. His body began to break under the strain. His arms snapped, lightning spread through his gut, and wind shredded his flesh. Still, he stood, still, he fought. But Kakuzu was endless. With the final surge, the black cord erupted, stabbing deep into Kenzo's chest. He fell to his knees, locking eyes with his son one last time. Tears of blood streaked down his face. Run. Azo, live. And then his heart was ripped from his chest. Azo's chains burst outward in a storm of crimson fury, impelling Kakuzu before fading into his father's last breath. Kakuzu began to hold his wounds. That brat. He seized Azo by his hair, forcing the child to look at the ruin of his father. Remember my name, Kakuzu. Grow strong. Gain a bounty worth hunting. I'll come for you too. Kakuzu turned his head. A fireball roared, consuming the house, burning the Uzumaki's home to ash. Kakuzu tossed Azo into his father's blood, let him sink in it for a little bit. Then he picked him up again and threw him into the river. As his body floated through the water, all Azo could do was just stare into the sky and wonder why, as he began to fade in and out of consciousness. Days later, a masked group of individuals were heading back to their village, as one of them noticed a boy drifting into the river. His body flickered off to the side, and he knelt by the stream, catching the boy.
He's still breathing. Wow, the Anbu muttered. Barely any other child would have died if they were like this. He lifted the boy gently in his arms. Behind the mask, Kakashi's single eye softened. When he presented the child to the Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi studied the blood-stained clothing and crimson hair. So, another Uzumaki. Fate has delivered him to us. And so began the next chapter of Azo's life, not in the home of his parents, but in a hidden leaf, carrying the weight of his crimson chains, tragedy, and a vow that the world would one day respect the Uzumaki name again. The hours had passed in the hospital slowly. Rain tapped against the windows, and the faint scent of antiseptic lingered in the air. Kakashi had not moved from the hallway outside Azo's room. He leaned against the wall with his arms folded, listening for any sign of life beyond the sliding doors. When at last the nurse emerged, her voice was soft. He's awake. Kakashi didn't hesitate. In a flicker, his body vanished, reappearing in the Hokage's tower. The door swung open before him as he entered, kneeling before Hiruzen Sarutobi.
Lord Third, the boy's awake, Kakashi said in a man's low tone. The Hokage's expression softened, yet deepened with lines of concern. He set aside his pipe and rose without a word. In a body flicker, the two of them stood outside of Azo's hospital room. Kakashi lingered by the door, but Hiruzen pressed forward. Inside the room, Azo sat propped against thin pillows, staring at the wall. His dull red eyes didn't even reflect any light. Even when Hiruzen entered, he didn't even acknowledge him. "Hello there, my boy," Hiruzen said gently. "I'm Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage of this village. What's your name?" Azo's lip parted, but his gaze never left the wall. "Azo," he whispered. His voice trembled. "Azo Uzumaki." A single tear slid down his cheek, tracing the dirt still smudged on his face. Hiruzen stepped closer, lowering himself into a crouch beside the bed. "Do you know where your parents are, Azo? Or are you all alone?" At that, Azo's shoulders shrugged. His tiny fist clenched on top of the blanket. "I'm all alone." My parents were killed right in front of me. His voice cracked and anger cut through his words. Kakuzu killed them. The name struck like steel. Hiruzen's eyes narrowed at the venom in the boy's tone. For one so young to speak with such hatred, it was dangerous. I see, the Hokage murmured. He placed a hand on Azo's small shoulder. I'm truly sorry for your loss, young one. But tell me, Azo, how old are you? Azo repeated, I'm 3. The boy answered hollowly. Hiruzen exhaled, long and heavy. 3 years old, not far from another child I know, a boy named Naurto. He's an Uzumaki just like you. For the first time, Azo's eyes flickered towards him, curiosity breaking through his grief, his gaze piercing despite the dull color. Another Uzumaki? Yes, Hiruzen said, smiling faintly. Would you like to meet him? The boy studied him for a little moment, then gave a small nod. Okay. The Hokage extended his hand, and though Azo didn't take it, he slid off the bed and followed him out. In the hallway, Kakashi's single visible eye softened. At least the boy is in good hands now. Whatever he decides to do from here is strictly on him. I just hope it doesn't lead him down a dark path. His body flickered away before the Hokage and Azo reached the end of the corridor. As the pair left the hospital, Hiruzen decided to stop at a clothing store. He refused to let the boy walk around the village in a hospital gown. Hiruzen told Azo to pick anything that he liked, and Azo's fingers trailed over cloths until they finally settled on a red shirt marked with the Uzumaki spiral at the back, black shorts, and crimson sandals. A fine choice, Hiruzen said warmly, paying the shopkeeper. The two continued until they reached the orphanage. The air was filled with faint sounds of children's laughter, though all of it was not joyous. When Hiruzen called out, a blur of blonde hair came bounding forward. Gigi, Naurto cried out, his voice bright as ever. He threw himself at the old man's legs, grinning up with his whiskered cheeks. Hello, Naurto, Hiruzen said, resting a hand on Naruto's head. I have someone I want you to meet. He gently pushed Azo forward. This is Azo Uzumaki. Naruto froze, staring wide-eyed at the boy beside his grandfather. He mouthed the name once, twice, and then 3 times before gasping. Uzumaki? That means your family. I have family? His voice burst into excited laughter. He jumped in place, clapping his hands. Azo blinked at him, unamused. Why is your hair blonde? Naruto tugged at his bangs, frowning. I don't know. Why is your hair red? Isn't it obvious? Azo said flatly. Naruto scratched his head, confused, but before the conversation could turn into a quarrel, Hiruzen interrupted with a chuckle. Enough questions for today. Naruto, why don't you show Azo around? He'll be living here with you from now on. Really? Naruto's eyes sparkled as he turned to Azo. Come on, brother. I'll show you everything. Azo raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. Still, Naruto grabbed his wrist and pulled him, and he didn't resist. From the doorway, the matron of the orphanage bowed as Hiruzen prepared to leave. The Hokage watched the boys for a little moment longer. Naruto's laughter echoed while Azo remained silent. His pipe trembled slightly in his hands as he thought. Perhaps, just perhaps, these two will find solace in one another. The next morning, dawned bright and sharp, the kind of light that burned dew off rooftops before the birds had even finished their songs. The orphanage courtyard buzzed with laughter and childish noise, but Azo, set apart beneath the lonely tree, gazed distant. His small hands traced circles in the dirt, while Naruto's voice carried over the noise like an unstoppable storm. Hey Azo, wanna play ninja? Azo didn't answer. He hoped silence would be enough, but Naruto is Naruto. Silence was an open invitation. Come on, you can be the cool one with the sword, and I'll be the Hokage. No, Azo muttered flatly. Naruto blinked, then a grin widened. That's fine. We'll play later. Azo sighed. He really doesn't stop, does he? Night after night, week after week, and Naruto's persistence never wavered. Every morning, every meal, every walk through the courtyard, question after question. Azo ignored most of them, but sometimes when Naruto repeated himself 10 times or more, Azo would finally grumble a short answer, just enough to make him shut up. And yet, deep down, he truly didn't mind. One of these days, though, on Azo's 4th birthday, he vanished. Behind the orphanage, his small shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. The world blurred with tears as he whispered to no one, Mom, Dad. But Naruto had been the only one to find Azo. Azo, what's wrong? Why don't you leave me alone already? Azo screamed, his voice cracking. Can't you see I don't want to talk to you? Naruto froze, his smile faded. But we're family, he said softly, and you're crying. I just want to help. Azo screamed. You can't. You can't bring them back. My parents are dead, they're gone, and they're never coming back. His words broke on his tongue, his fist trembling. I don't want to be here. I don't like anyone here. Azo would have gotten up and ran in the opposite direction while Naurto chased after him, calling his name. High above, Anbumez turned towards the commotion and peeled through the rooftops. In the Hokish office, Hiruzen listened to the breathless reports, sighed and waved a wrinkly hand. Stand down. I'll handle it. As Hiruzen left his office, he found Azo tucked behind a cedar, quietly crying. As Hiruzen began to approach, Azo had said go away. I don't want to be bothered. Hiruzen stepped out, the weight of his years softened by a small, honest smile. It's alright to feel what you feel, Azo. It's alright to let it out. The dam broke. Why did they have to die? He choked. They didn't even get to see me turn 4. The Hokage knelt and pulled him into a quiet embrace. Happy birthday, Azo. Your parents watch over you still, even if you can't stand beside them. Death comes for all of us one day, boy. It's just like the river, and we're just like the leaves that fall from the trees. But love is the current that stays. The storm began to subside to the rain. Hiruzen patted his shoulders. There is another one just like you, Azo, and it's actually Naurto. He is loud, yes, and he can be annoying. But he never knew his parents like you did, Azo. Not their faces, not their voices. He's alone in the way most children couldn't even imagine, so he may not understand your pain. But when he clings to you, it's because he sees you as family. Azo blinked, stunned. To never even know his parents at all? Come, Hiruzen said, standing. Let's go find Naurto. They found Naurto, pacing in the road, eyes red and frantic. When he spotted Azo, he bolted forward and wrapped him in a desperate hug. I'm sorry if I made you mad. Please don't hate me. I can't fix that, but I don't want to leave. Please don't you leave. You're my only family, besides the old man. Azo felt something ease, just a fraction. He patted Naurto on his back, awkwardly. I'm not leaving, and I don't hate you, weirdo. Now get off of me. You're making my shirt all wet. Naurto sniffed, grinned, and backed away. Hiruzen chuckled behind his hand. Come along, both of you, he said. We have a birthday to celebrate. Naurto looked at Azo with his eyes widened. It's your birthday? Wait, how old are you? Azo folded his arms and narrowed his eyes at Naurto. I'm 4 years old. Naurto placed both of his arms on Azo's shoulders and shook him. That means I'm older than you. I'm the older brother. My birthday was in October. It's February 12th now. Azo pushed Naurto back and told him to shut up. And Naurto glared at Azo. Don't talk to me like that. I'm your older brother. Hiruzen began to chuckle once again as the trio began to walk down the street. Steam rose in fragment clouds from the ramen stand. The owner bowed to the Hokage and Naurto bowed to the bowls. Hi, I'm Naurto Uzumaki, and this is my younger brother Azo Uzumaki. It's his birthday today. Azo gave a small wave as the Hokage began to order some food. Both of the boys devoured their bowls. Broth vanished, noodles snapped when both boys raised empty bowls in unison and chirped. Seconds, Hiruzen nearly inhaled his whole pipe because he hadn't even finished half of his bowl yet. After 20 bowls later, 10 bowls sitting on each side of each board, Hiruzen looked at his wallet grimacing. Then he remembered it was Azo's birthday today, so he just let it slide. Would you boys like to stay at my home tonight? Naurto screamed yes, and Azo nodded softly, gratitude tucked behind his eyes. At the Saratobi compound, Hiruzen read until their breaths evened and the book slipped from his hands. He looked at the two sleeping boys, the lonely halves of a broken clan, and smiled. Good. Let this be a beginning. As years went on, time smoothed the edges, but not the truth. The villagers' glares for Naurto sharpened into thrown words, thrown trash, and even thrown stones. Azo learned to step between and draw the aggro with a flat stare that made even grown men sweat. Pranks would have really occurred as well, because Naurto really didn't care for the villagers' attention because he knew Azo was always there for him. Even when Naurto was outcasted at the orphanage, Azo walked beside him when they left, into the streets, and even before leaving, he shoplifted enough food for 2 kids to survive. The villagers would mutter, but their hatred for Naurto always outpaced their dislike for the red-haired shadow at his side. Eventually, Hiruzen found them a small apartment, 2 rooms, cracked walls, and a view of rooftops and the beginning of a home. One evening, Azo lingered in the marketplace. Parents guided children through stalls, laughter ringing through the warm air. He watched them for too long, a dull ache rising in his chest because of it. Then, through a window's reflection, he saw Naurto upstairs pressing his face to the glass, crossing his eyes and puffing his cheeks. Azo exhaled a laugh before he could stop it. What a weirdo. At home, Naruto pounced. So, how was playing without me? It was training, Azo said evenly. Something you would understand if you weren't so lazy. What? Why didn't you wake me up? I tried. You kept asking me for 10 more minutes, and I wasn't gonna wait for you. Naruto's face flushed. Well, tomorrow I'm coming too. I'll train harder than you. Believe it. Azo smiled faintly and turned around. Then be ready, because if you're not, I'm leaving you again. That night, as Naruto snored, Azo trained alone, push-ups, squats, chakra drills until his muscles burned. Chains erupted and stabbed into the floor, anchoring him as he strained against their pull. Sweat stunk his eyes, but his mind was clear. I would not be weak. The following morning, Azo's door slammed open. I'm up already, Azo, so you better not make an excuse as to why I can't come. Azo just stood there and deadpanned at Naruto. Did you have to slam my door open? Naruto folded his arms and smirked pridefully. Yes, I did, because the future Hokage has to make his grand entrance everywhere that he goes. So let's go already. A glass painting fell from the wall and hit the ground and shattered. Azo stared at Naruto with a straight face with his left eye twitching. I hate you.
And that right there ends off episode 1 of Azo Uzumaki.